Here's the hidden gem you need in order to move forward with your Kundalini yoga practice. All the little tiny little questions that people have asked me over the years and over the time, so that you get real clear on how to do your practice, how to create the best benefits for yourself, and how to move forward easily, gracefully. Some of you have never done yoga before, and I'm so proud of you for venturing in and trying something new. That says a lot about who you are and how you are. The rest of you may have done a little yoga before, not quite sure you like it, or maybe you do and you're looking to get involved in a regular practice because you know that something is calling you towards it. Or maybe you've been here for a long time and just want to get some answers to those things that have been on your mind for a while. I'm here to help. My name is Salimah, yoga therapist, and welcome to Kundalini Yoga. If you've made it here to this channel, it's because you found Kundalini Yoga interesting. You've heard about it. Maybe you've seen me on other platforms. And if you could just drop a comment below. How did you find it? How long have you been practicing? I love to hear from you. Okay. So please drop a comment below. Okay, let's dive in. Number one, how best to use your Kundalini Yoga practice. And I want to start this by saying that consider Kundalini Yoga like a medicine. And that medicine is just like a vitamin, just like a supplement of any kind, is best taken daily. Okay, so I'm going to create the first clarification. When people hear me say that, and you will hear me say that, should it be taken daily? Meaning, should I practice any Kundalini yoga for 40 days? And the simple answer to that is yes. Some Kundalini yoga is better than none. And you'll find here everything from hour-long practices to 3-minute videos. And so there is a ton of content and something that you can establish as a daily practice. Now, more is not necessarily better. Okay, so you don't have to do 10 practices, or you don't have to do an hour-long practice. If you are a beginner, start small. Start with something short, especially if you've never done it before, especially if you're integrating this new habit for the first time. Pick something small, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, all of that is here. And the reason I say that is to set yourself up for success. Okay, if you've never done a practice before and you kind of feeling like, I don't know, maybe I'm out of shape, maybe I'm not so flexible, maybe all those things, maybe you start in a way that allows you to have success. And baby steps are steps. Okay, so that's advice piece number one. Number two is that as you go along and you explore different practices, which I highly recommend, sample a whole bunch, 5, 10, 15, 20. Somewhere in that sampling, you will sit down with a practice. Maybe it will be a surprise to you, but you'll have this, what I call a ginger ale moment. Ah, ooh, I feel really great. Or this created a release. Tears are coming out. Or I feel really relaxed. Or I feel like, oh, that thing that's been bugging me, it's not there anymore. That's your ginger ale moment. I mean, I call it a ginger ale moment because I sort of feel this rising inside of me. So that's how I call it. But maybe you have a different word. And if you've been around before, drop that term below so that other people can see how you might describe it. Consider this is, remember I said that Kundalini Yoga is like a medicine. And let's say you're low in iron. The best way to raise your iron levels is to take iron daily, that same pill every day until your levels go up. And so you'll hear me oftentimes say that if you found it effective, do it for 40 days. And that 40-day process is an opportunity to explore what that practice has on offer for you from all different levels, in all the different ways that you show up every day, in your tired state, in your elevated state, in your happy state, in your confused, angry, blah, blah, blah state, and all the different days that you have, 40 days in a row. And this will allow you to look at yourself from 40 different angles. And those 40 different angles show you the length and breadth and depth of who you are and how to address this thing completely. Okay, so it takes 40 days to create a habit. It takes 90 days to change that habit, 120 days to establish that habit, and 1,000 days to become that habit. Okay, so remember I said baby steps. And then when you find it, go deeper. And do that because you want to, not because I said so, but because you want to, because there's something inside of you that's saying, yeah, I need this. Yeah, this is really important. Yes. And along the way, you may fall down. You may skip a day. You may forget a day. You may not feel like doing it in a day. And that's okay. That's the human experience. And what we say from a yogic perspective is how you are on the mat is how you are off the mat. Okay, so in my early days of practicing, I would be very, what's this? Very diligent, committed, almost fanatical about my practice. Like everything would stop because I had to practice. And that was also a sign of me along the way. You know, I got very attached to the fact that I had to practice, or I felt like, oh, all hell would break loose or all bad things would happen to me. It's not true. It was a feeling, and I have since let go of that feeling. And I will say this too, that this small commitment to ourselves is really important. That we could show up every day and offer ourselves some self-care to release the stress, to get better perspective, to calm down, to shift perspective. All of that is so very important. And so it's not the yoga itself, it's you, for you. Okay, yes, Kundalini Yoga will help you. I'm not trying to diminish any part of that, just to say that this idea of 40 days is not to overwhelm or overburden you, but rather to say, when you have that moment of reckoning, to go for it. Because that's a signal, an inward signal. Not everybody makes it to Kundalini Yoga. Some people do hot yoga for years. Some people do meditation for years. Some people do breath work for years. And then all of a sudden they end up here. And that's your soul calling you into the practice. Let's listen to that because it's all also part of your walk and your path through this life. Okay. All right. So you can do a practice, you can do different practices every day. And then when you find it and you know you need it and it speaks to you, then you pick one and you do that for 40 days or 90 or 120 or 1,000 days. Please don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Please don't feel like you have to do 10 practices a day to solve all the things. More is not necessarily better. Stay humble with it. Stay in a way that you don't overwhelm yourself and that you don't overcommit. Keep it manageable. Start small, work your way up. Okay. Some other things. Do you have to practice in the early morning? Not necessarily. That might be the time where your house is quiet, where you may have the time where you are maybe a morning person. You can practice anytime throughout the day. And evening is just as fine. A few caveats here. You don't have to have an empty stomach. In other words, 3 hours since your last meal, but maybe don't sit down and have a heavy meal and then immediately go to practice. It's not comfortable. The second piece around that is to think about doing the same time every day. See if you can commit to the same time every day. And there are some practices that are highly stimulating, so they'll make you feel a little buzz. Those are probably better during the day. And there's some practices that are a little more relaxing. Those are probably better at the end of your day. And to just understand the difference is really a personal choice and a personal decision, because what is relaxing for me may not be relaxing for you. What is energizing for me may not be energizing for you. So please watch what happens. If you find that you do a practice and you kind of up all night with vivid dreams, that's probably something you should move in the morning. If you do your practice and you find yourself in the morning and you find yourself yawning, that's probably something for later in the day. to help you wind down or to relax. In between work and home, for example, in the car, before you step into your home, something like that, so that you can dial down before you go to sleep or before you start the next chapter of your day. No fancy clothes required. A t-shirt is perfect. I generally wear white when I'm teaching. I generally wear white when I'm practicing. White gives a signal of purity. White gives a signal of radiance. White is an open, expansive aura. Having said that, what you practice in is your choice. Could be in your pajamas, could be on your bed, could be on a mat in a room, in a special place in your house. Whatever you can grab, that's where you do it. Wherever there's a little bit of space, wherever you have time, that's when you do it. Yoga is not meant to be exclusionary. It's meant to be all-encompassing. You can do breath work in the car. You can chant a mantra on your way to drop off the kids at school. You can do all of that. And you should do all of that. Yoga is meant to be part of our day, not this exclusive thing. Okay. So wherever you can fit it in, that's what you need to do. No special equipment required. If you have a mat, great, use it. If you're on a wooden floor, then maybe something like a towel or something grippy or bare feet will keep you from slatting. Okay. So you don't need a lot to start. And as you get a little more proficient, you may notice, okay, I need a little support with my wrist. So I need a block. I can't, my arms are shorter than my legs. So I need a little bit of reach and extension. That's when you do it, not everything purchased up front and then going in, but rather notice what you need and then buy it a little bit later after you get some time under your belt. You know exactly what you need. I think having this content available on YouTube does a few things. Number one, it allows you to practice any time of the day, so or evening. So whenever you're available, whenever it works for your schedule, pick a video, look at the timing, look at the title, and then make it match. Make it help you. Okay. And the second part is to find a time where you'd be relatively uninterrupted. Whenever I get down on the floor, my dog is all over me. But when she's asleep, I have that time. Similarly, when the kids are at school, or maybe, just maybe, you invite the kids into your experience as well. Children, especially young kids, are naturally curious about all of this. So feel free to invite a friend into your practice, your kids into your practice, older relatives, older friends. As you start to explore and engage and find benefit, feel free to share all this, because this is not just for your well-being, my well-being, but rather this is a gift for humanity. Yoga has come through so many different challenges, through colonization, through ancient times where there was no handwriting, where it went from teacher to student, over and over and over again until it landed here. And that's the beauty of it, is that it's time tested. And because of that, we have some assurance of, number one, the validity, number two, the benefits, and number three, accessibility. And all of those pieces are really important to me. So in these videos, you will find modifications. If you can't do something, imagine yourself doing it perfectly. Try to get into the essence of the posture. If your knees hurt or there's certain body parts that just don't like what's happening, sit out that part and wait for the next. Or turn it off, start something else. Totally fine. Please remember that I'm here as a guide, but I can't see you. And my body works differently from yours. And all the demonstrators that you'll see have different bodies and different abilities. And please adjust accordingly. Don't feel forced or compelled to do anything that you see here that you knowingly, if you knowingly did it, it's going to cause a problem. Don't do it. Okay. Similarly for emotional stuff. If you're in a particular state and you know that it's not the right time to trigger off anything more, you're at your capacity with what you can process, then sit down, relax, and do some breath work. So you can keep your practice, you can keep your 40-day commitments and substitute and modify as you need. Okay. I'm not here. Nobody is here to force you to do anything. it is an opportunity for you to lean in and explore along the way. I recommend journaling. I recommend having a yoga buddy, Kundalini yoga buddy, and I recommend putting some comments below each video and let me know what you're doing, because I read all of that stuff and I want to know what you're doing and what you're experiencing. So remember that all of this is a community experience. So feel free to keep me in the loop, okay? If you're looking for more resources, links are in the bio. See you in the next video.